Well, it's winterisation time. We come down to do a couple of little jobs, and it's easy with the box off. And now it's been adapted so it comes off really quick and easy, so I'll whip that off. Won't take long to do this little bit of job, changing a bit of coolant, but then we found that the oil cooler, oil filter bracket, which we have a lot of trouble with anyway, has fallen off, and sheared a nut off somewhere really inaccessible in there. So that's another little job we found. And then we found a bolt sheared off for the compressor, so that's got to be replaced, but that's only a nut and a bolt. Luckily it didn't tear the wire out when it fell off. Yeah.
I was gonna, took that alternator tensioner up, weren't we?
Yeah, alternator tensioner, that's not too much of a job. Last season when we started, we had a bit of trouble with the starter motor had seized up, being sitting doing nothing, so I don't want to repeat of that. So at the moment he's trying to get into it so we can just fill it up with some squirty.
Cool, that's tight. Did that up. Yeah, Jeff Capes put this back on last time. Oh, that's good.
So yeah, so that's where we are at the moment. So then we fill the raw water side up with a bit of coolant, and we're going to change the freshwater coolant, give it a flush out first. I'm going to run it up first and then sort of...
You think we're going to get to that stage today?
Of course we are.
No, it's only going to take a few hours. No, that's
now we've got this box off, but
yeah.
Meanwhile, if we keep finding a load of nuts and bolts that are falling out and broken, it's going to start taking a bit longer.
Oh, that one.
It looks like the electronic box is about to fall off as well.
That's how I've mended it.
Oh dear.
Come on.
We've only been here 5 minutes and the place is already a mess. We'll come back to this. There's the offending article.
Who, me?
Not you. There's a bolt in there on the left there that's sheared off, which we're going to have to drill out. And the one on the right, it's an absolute pain in the arse. When it's sitting up in there, you've got to get that. As it sit like that, but up in that position. You can't get the bolt in there.
Oh, stop making a meal of it and just get on with it.
I'm cutting that out. Found that the bolt come out when this is sitting up. It was sitting up in there, and the bolt come out and was rattling at certain revs, wasn't it? At certain revs, the nut was rattling, and we was like all over the engine trying to work it out. We thought we knew it was coming from this area, but we thought it was a compressor. We had the compressor apart, we had all the belts up, the engine was apart, and it was just a nut that was rattling at certain revs in there. So that was an easy fix when we finally found out.
And there was a spacer over here that wasn't tight, wasn't it? And that was rattling as well.
Oh mate, so many things in here.
It's had a lot of TLC over the last few years.
Oh, it has, yeah.
We go looking for trouble now rather than wait for it.
It would be a lot handy though if we knew what we were doing.
What could possibly go wrong? Apart from the pump falling off that time as well.
Oh, the diesel pump?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sprung a leak, didn't it?
Yeah, and it was a bit odd really because it only got one nut holding it on, wasn't it?
That's right,
that wasn't tight, was it?
Yeah. Well, it was amazing it was working, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, that didn't actually fall off. I don't know how, just by the grace of God, it was hanging on, wasn't it?
It was.
That was well, I won't say who it was that put it on there, but it was really difficult to get at, so they obviously thought, well, I won't put all four bolts in there, I'll just put one in.
Well, we found one in the bilge, didn't we?
Yeah. But that, it sheared off, didn't it? And it's,
yeah,
that's why we got a new
pipe, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why we got a new hose. But God, yeah, when it proper went, didn't it? It still got us back from Beachy Head area though, didn't it?
It did.
But then Oh, the clean-up operation, because we had about 25 litres of diesel in the bilge. Oh, it was a nightmare. I had to jig up a 25 litre container out the back on the bilge pump and pump it out, but God, what a ball like that was. How's it going down there? Did you fix it?
Yeah, I fixed it.
How's it looking?
Yeah, it comes in and out like
look at
up and
that.
down like a pair of silk stockings.
Oh, lovely. Look at that.
It turns on its own accord.
Lovely rusty brown colour.
That's it.
Must be all the grease in there, isn't it? All that brown stuff.
Yeah.
And he still got all his teeth.
Well, not many.
Not like you.
Born to succeed.
Lovely. Oh. Well, hopefully that'll save us a bit of a headache like we had last time.
Yeah. Beauty.
Good job. Come on, let's start it up then. Hasn't been run for weeks.
What do you reckon? First time?
I reckon it'll go first time.
I think so.
Yeah, I'll do, yeah.
I'll give it a little bit of throttle, do you think? Somewhere there?
Not too much, yeah. When was this last run? When was the last run? It was well over a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think well, September I think was the last time we was running it, wasn't it?
Go on, start a motor test.
Go on in.
Ready?
Go on. Oh, a little puff of smoke out the back. Well, that's not bad, is it? Got the usual rattles. All done, going back together now till the spring. One last bit. What do you reckon?
Shouldn't take long, should it? Job's a good one.
Then down a pub. Oh no. Then we've got to talk about the Celtic.
Have we?
Well, the Celtic's wreck, which is only 3 miles south of Newhaven, and although a local wreck, it's never been very high up on our to dive list, mainly as it's a well-known wreck that's been salvaged, so well broken, and given its position and depth, we just always assumed it would be covered in silt and zero visibility. Kendall MacDonald in Dive Sussex says this Belgian trawler sank while under tow on the 9th of April 1958. The crew of 4 were rescued by a Newhaven lifeboat. She is now very broken up in 23 metres, and many of the pieces left after both salvage and clearing operations are now buried in the sandy seabed. So it never seemed very appealing to go and dive it. So last September was the first time we'd gone and done it, and it was good visibility, and it was a cracking little wreck. This wreck is a bit of a mystery though. We assumed sinking in 1958 that it would be diesel powered, which it is. Because just about to come into view you're going to see a 4-cylinder diesel engine. So when we first dived it, we was a bit surprised to see a huge boiler, or what we thought was a boiler. So all a bit strange, couldn't quite work out what was going on. I think that's a winch that's fallen down against the side of the engine there, and that is a 4-cylinder diesel engine, big flywheel. If you follow it up towards the stern, I don't actually go up to the stern in the video, but I did on another dive. You follow it up and you just see a couple of blades sticking up from the prop out of the sand, and you can sort of see part of the wooden hull sticking out of the sand as well. But these, what we thought were boilers, I think that's the gearbox, 100% sure, not very good with engines. But these, what look like boilers down there, they're a real mystery. We don't know what's going on there, because it wasn't just one of these things, there's 4 down there. And even to my untrained eye, that's definitely a diesel engine. We did look into the possibility of this wreck being the St. Ronag, as that ship had a 4-cylinder diesel engine as well. But we're pretty sure this wreck is wood, and the St. Ronag was steel. We measured the flywheel, and we had some measurements for the prop, and because there's a spare prop laying down there as well, so we managed to measure that, and we measured the flywheel, because we had the dimensions for those for the Sank Ronag, and they didn't match at all. So it's definitely not Sank Ronag. It probably is a Celtic, but we just don't know what these boilers are, or containers, whatever they are. Well, other than the engine and the gearbox and some winches and cogs laying around, your guess is as good as mine as to what all this stuff is down here. But I wrongly assumed years ago that this wreck of the Celtic was the same Celtic that's shown as a model down at Newhaven Museum. There's also a picture of that particular Celtic going through the swing bridge at Newhaven, and that's a Celtic I thought that this was, but then I found a picture of that particular Celtic that's been restored up on a river up in Medway, I think, so it's nothing to do with it at all. So then I looked in Lloyd's for a bit more information on it, and this particular Celtic isn't in Lloyd's. They've got a different Celtic in there that said it's wrecked off of Newhaven, but that was in 1947. It was a 2-cylinder steamer with no known position. And then even more confusing, there's a reference to Sub-Aqua magazine in 1967 who did a piece on it, which I tried to find. Well, I'd love to read it, see what they said about it, but I can't find it anywhere. I think that particular Celtic is a mistake by Richard and Bridget Larn, who wrote the Shipwreck Index, as that was a fishing trawler in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it was owned by 4 different companies out in Canada. So I don't know, perhaps there's a Newhaven out that way, and it's a bit of confusion come about. It did take quite a bit of searching to find any information on this Celtic, but I did finally find a piece, and even found a picture of the crew as well. There's plenty of stuff laying around, winches and pulleys and cogs and all sorts of things. There's a nice little box just about to come into view, looks like a little cabin of some sort. But it's quite a nice little place to sit inside and watch all the fish go by. If you look at that dark patch there just on the right hand side of the screen, top corner, that's one of these containers stroke boilers we'll go and have a look at in a minute. Well, just squeezed inside that box and having a look out the window. And just down inside there on the side there's an electric light fitting. Somewhere, not that. There it is. And little things like that are good when you're trying to put an age to a vessel. He's not much use, I don't know how old he is. Alright, we'll swim off now and go and have a look at one of these boilers that I keep talking about. Well, there's one of them. What is that? It's really thin metal. I had a look inside, it's got nothing but sand in there. There's no bits of old coal or anything. There's nowhere you'd shovel coal. It's not riveted. There's another one, it's running at a right angle to it, so there's 2 there. I think that hole there, I think you can see through one side to the other. There's no heating rods inside it. There's no bits of, across the top of it like pressure relief valves or anything like that. They're pretty big, but they're really thin metal. You can sort of bang your hand on it, and if it wasn't in the water, it'd be reverberating like a drum. And if you see a boiler on some of these old shipwrecks, I mean, they're huge, great solid chunks of metal. Certainly looks like a boiler, but our wreck's 4-cylinder diesel, so why is there boilers sitting there? You can see there how they're butted up against each other at a 90-degree angle. I'll swim off now, we'll go and find the other one. There's a third one. And here's the fourth one. We've cleared all these flares out of the box because the box has got a hole in it. They're all a bit knackered. We've had them years and years. They'll probably blow up in your face rather than doing anything else, so I'm not entirely sure how to get rid of them. But there's parachute flares and handheld flares, and I don't know what all this stuff is. But I don't know. I think what I'll do is I'll take it down the backfield tonight and I'll just let them off.